Okay, here is the second part of writing piecewise functions. So we're going to add some new stuff, be more efficient at it, and hopefully the videos before this and the notes before this has gotten you ready for this point. So on this one, we're going to have to write the rule for this function, which means we're also going to write the piecewise equation. So we've got 1, 2, 3 equations, or 3 lines, so I'm going to have 3 equations. The first one, it's not flat, I need to do work. Second one is flat, no work required. Third one is not flat, I need to do work. So let's start on number 1. Now on number 1, it is going to cross the y-axis, but man, it is really hard to tell where. So I cannot just write down the slope and the y-intercept. So this one I'm going to have to write out the equation. So when I have to write out the equation, I need to find a point and a slope. So my point, I don't know, we just tried, how about this positive one? Negative 6, 6. My slope, start on the left, go to an intersection of 1, 2, 3 over 1. So my slope is 3 over 1, which is just 3. So I'm going to have y minus y1, which is 6, equals my slope, which is 3, times x minus x1, which is negative 6. And minus a negative is plus a positive. So I get y minus 6 equals 3x plus 18. Add 6 to both sides. Y equals 3x plus 24. So yeah, we definitely would not be able to tell where it fits. That's okay. But on number 2, we could extend this line. Look, this slope is down 1 over 1. So if we just kept going with our slope, it's going to hit right here. So on this one, we do know the slope and the y-intercept. The y-intercept, it hits right here at 0. The slope, okay, well we just counted it. We can see it again, left to right. So we're going to go down 1, right 1. So it's negative 1 over 1. So I'm writing my equation, y equals mx plus b. My slope is negative 1x, so negative x. I could write plus 0, but that's not at all necessary. There's my equation. Okay, now let's write my piecewise function. So I'm going to have, oops, okay, what's happening here? There we go. So we're going to have f of x equals, funky bracket, equation 1 has to go first because you got to go left to right. Equation 1, 3x plus 24, comma, if, now I need my domain, negative 9 to negative 6. So we have less than or equal to x, less than 6. Okay, equation 2, flat line. Where does it cross the y-axis? Crosses at 3, so it's f of x equals 3. Nothing more to it. Domain. So if it goes from negative 6 to 2, so negative 6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. Okay, now I need my third equation. Oh, but you know what? I said equation 2, but I was really writing for line. I said line 2, but it was for equation 3. So my equation 3 is just negative x if, and now we need to write the domain. It goes from 2 to 7. So 2 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 7. And that is your piecewise function. Okay, let's try this again. On number 2, you have 1, 2, 3 equations. So because you have 3 lines, you're going to have 3 equations. The first one is flat. It requires no work. The other ones are not that bad either. So let's start with number 2. Well, number 2, it crosses the y-axis. So we know we can find the slope and the y-intercept pretty easily. The y-intercept is 1. Okay? The slope, count it, up 2, right 1, so it's 2 over 1, which is just 2. So when I write my equation, y equals mx plus b, my slope is 2, so I have 2x plus my y-intercept of 1. On the third equation, okay, the y-intercept is not given, but I know the slope. Okay, the slope is down 2 over 1. So if I go up 2 left 1, my line should go here and hit at negative 2. So on this one, I know my y-intercept is -2, so I'm not going to have to do all the work. I also know my slope, because I just counted it, is down 2 and right 1, so it's -2/1, which is just -2. So my equation is y equals -2x minus 2. I'm reading that information off the graph. Okay, f of x equals, make my bracket. Equation 1 is flat. It's flat and crosses at -6. So I have -6, comma, if, and it goes from -7 to -2. Okay, now I need equation 2. Equation 2 is what we wrote in red. 2x plus 1 if, okay, read the domain. My graph's getting pretty busy. Let's erase some of this. My domain, -2 to 1. Third equation, that's in green, -2x minus 2 if domain 1 to 3. Remember, it's less than or equal if you have a closed dot and less than if you have an open dot. But there is our parent function. All right, let's go backwards now and see if we can graph it. Okay, so my first equation is this one. So that's going to give me one of my lines. Now, for my first equation, I know that it's got to, when I draw it in, it's going to start where x is -6 and end where y is -2. Well, if I can figure out what those points are, I can graph that line. So let's think about it. First, I want to find f of -6. I'm going to plug that in. So that's negative of -6 minus 2. So that's 6 minus 2, which is just 4. So I know the point -6, 4 works. So I plugged in here. Now I'm going to plug in this one. So now I'm going to find f of -2. So at f of -2, I have negative, x is -2, minus 2. This is plus a positive, so this equals 0. So my next point is -2, 0. So when I go to graph this, at -6, there's a less than or equal to, so I need a closed dot. So this is going to be a closed dot. At -2, it's less than, so it's going to be an open circle. Okay, so I'm going to go to -6, 4, make a point. I'm going to go to -2, 0, make a point, and I'm going to connect the dots. And this is line 1. Okay, now we're going to do that again for line 2. Oh, but we don't have to. At line 2, it's a straight line, and it's a straight line from -2 to 3 at -2. And at -2, we know it's going to have a closed circle. At 3, we're going to have an open circle, and we're going to connect in between. Okay, let's look at the third one. Okay, the third one, I need to know where the line starts and where the line stops. So I'm going to plug it in. So I'm going to find f of 3, and when I plug that in, it'd be 2 times 3 minus 2. So that's 6 minus 2, which is 4. Now I want to find f of 5. So this is 2 times 5 minus 2. So that would be 10 minus 2, which is 8. So this over here represents the point 3, 4, because I plugged in 3 and I got 4. This one represents the point 5, 8. So I'm going to plot those 2 points. 3, 4, close dot. 5, 8, close dot, because they're both less than or equal to. Connect the dots. There's my graph. Okay, so here's equation 2, and then here is equation 3. Okay, let's try this again on this last one. So on this last one, I need to figure out where to graph it. And when you're looking at this first number here is where your graph starts. This is where the line starts. So I want to be able to graph the first one. I want to find f of -5. So I'm going to plug in -5. So I have 3 times -5 plus 6. So that's -15 plus 6, which is -9. So my starting point is -5, -9. Now I need my ending point. Well, I know my ending point is going to be at -2. So I'm going to plug in -2. So I have 3 times -2 plus 6. Well, that gives me -6 plus 6, which is just 0. So my ending point of that line is -2, 0. Okay, so I'm going to plot -5, -9. I'm going to plot -2, 0. Oh, I got to pay attention. Over here, less than or equal to. Close dot. Over here, less than, open circle. So this one I made a mistake. This should be an open circle. This is a closed dot. Connect the points. There's line 1. Okay, let's do line 2. Line 2, it just says f of x equals 3. So it's going to be a flat line at 3, but we got to figure out where it's going to be in. It's going to start at -2 at a closed dot, and it's going to end at 4 with an open circle because it's less than, and it's all the points where y is 3 in between it. There's my second graph. Okay, let's try this again for the third one. So for my third graph, this is where it starts, this is where it ends. So I want to find f of -4, just kidding, not -4, +4. Plug that in. So -4 minus 2. -4 minus 2 is -6. So my starting point for this line is going to be 4, -6. Then I'm going to plug in my ending point at 5. F of 5 is negative times 5 minus the 2. So -5 minus 2 is -7. So my ending point is 5, -7. So on my graph, I'm going to go to the point 4, 6, make a point. Because it's less than or equal, I know it's solid. This is solid. 5, 7, less than or equal to. It's solid too. Oh, I messed up. I graphed them at positive, not negative. Let's try this again. 4, -6. Solid. 5, -7. Solid. Line in between. This is line 3 in equation 3. And we did it.